Well, good morning. My name is Joy DeBolt. I work here at SAS on our marketing team. I have the pleasure of introducing David Zenter this morning, one of our principal software engineers who will be presenting with us this morning. Let's give David a warm welcome.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming to this super demo. My name is David Zenter. I'm a software engineer here at SAS. And in this super demo, I'll be taking us through the VIA Workbench multi-language architecture capabilities that we added first to VIA Workbench, but is now available in various other places in the VIA ecosystem. And so I'll be able to show those off and show you how you're able to utilize that. So firstly, just to give us a little bit of context, what is SAS VIA Workbench? Hopefully you've seen this either in last year's keynote or this morning in the keynote. But SAS VIA Workbench, simply put, is a cloud-based on-demand workspace for developers that provides them an instant access way to use the powerful SAS VIA analytics capabilities. Specifically, for this super demo, honing in on what we're calling the multi-language capabilities, what I mean by that is there's this a suite of capabilities that we first added to VIA Workbench when it was released in June 2024, but now is also able to be used in SAS VIA Enterprise, starting at the cadence 202502. So what those multi-language capabilities, what I mean is that traditionally you've been able to use the VIA analytics by executing them in a cloud analytics server, in a CAS server. But when we release these new capabilities in Workbench and now in Enterprise, this allows you to do a couple more things. It allows you to take those VIA analytics and execute them in a variety of additional ways. Namely, it allows you to directly in process run it via SAS procs in a compute session. So without having to use a CAS server, you're able to directly run those VIA analytics. Also, it allows you to directly run it from Python using our new SAS VIA Python libraries that we've added. And just recently, like within the last couple of weeks, you're able to directly use that from our libraries. So what I like to put here is that, it's unlocking the power of VIA analytics everywhere. So, you're not just the original traditional use case. You're able to use it where you need to use it in the manner that you best fits how you want to use it. Okay, so I am going to start my demo portion. So getting out of that, and coming over to here. All right, so just to help us contextualize what I'll be showing in a little bit, let's imagine we jump into a time machine. We go back to the year 2015. Katy Perry is on the radio, we're all in skinny jeans, and VIA 3.0 was just released. In VIA 3.0, and what you can do in VIA currently in 4.0 as well, is something similar to the following. So I'm going to run this test case here. This is a SAS program, and I will walk you through what's happening here. We connect to a CAS server, we get some data over into CAS. In this way, I'm just simply using a data step to copy it over. And then one of the two different styles of ways of running it. Either if there's a proc, I'm running this proc reg select, so I'm doing a linear regression against a CAS data set, that CAS data set I just copied, to produce a model from it. Or if you like a CASL style, here I'm doing the same sort of thing, but with proc CAS. I'm using the CAS action to run an equivalent sort of thing of what that first style is. Then I use proc AStore to score that model against a data set in CAS from a CAS data set, and then also that model I had just created. And then just plotting it to get the results. So here I just produced a simple model that was trying to predict some variables of this data set. All right, so that's 2015. That's something you may be accustomed to, and it's something we've been able to do for quite a while, and that's by using the VIA Analytics in the CAS server. So let's then jump back in the time machine and go to 2024. So last year with the release of VIA Workbench. So here's VIA Workbench, and let me start my instance up. If you haven't seen this yet, here's the dashboard for it. So this is a way to start up your compute. I can select what kind of compute I want, and then select the IDE I want to be using, which would determine what kind of programming I want to do. So let me launch that. And so this is the on-demand scale up, scale down technology. So I started up, this is me using it in VS Code. So in Workbench, there's a collection of examples that come with it, and they're used to show off the various properties of Workbench. And so I'm going to take you through one of them just to show it in the various ways that it's being used, so you can see how they all relate to each other. But anyways, one of these examples is for this bike sharing company, and it has the rental scooters that you've seen in the streets, and then it uses data from that to predict the demand for it based on the weather, the time of day, the day of the month, and various things like that. So I will run that here. Here we have a SAS program of it, and it's just doing things you might be very familiar with, procs and formats, and it's printing out various things. But what we're interested in for this demo is if we scroll down to the bottom, it's doing a proc reg select, so a linear regression similar to what I just showed running in VIA, but here I'm just running against a local data set. So this is a SAS data set, but it could be a Parquet data set. It could even be an external database or whatnot. And then it runs a score of that and runs a plot. So if we come see here, it's producing various items, but what we're interested in here is it produced a model of what it predicts the demand for the bike sharing app will be. And one thing that it's very subtle, but it's an important part of the demo is, you see this and it's like, oh, a proc reg select with a data source, that just seems very familiar, but with what we've added with the multi-language capabilities, instead of having to just use it in a CAS server, you can use it here directly running in process. So it's directly running this in the Workbench compute environment. And so you're just able to kind of utilize these VIA Analytics in more ways. Here being one way is directly in process with a SAS proc. I'll also show, because part of that multi-language support is you can also run equivalent thing in Python. So here I'm going to run this. This is the examples that come with Workbench, but this is one for Python. If I run this, let me run it. This is performing various calculations. It's the same data set for this bike sharing company, and it's running various things to calculate what it wants to see for that. However, what's important for my demo is if we scroll down here to the bottom, it is using our new SAS VIA ML Python packages. So this is slightly different than the other one, which was the linear regression. It's using gradient boost. You could have used the linear regression, but this example just shows gradient boost. But the key is using the VIA Analytics to generate a model. The cool thing is this is using the same, the binary math that is actually occurring. It's the same componentry that we saw in CAS in the first example, that we saw running in SAS, and that we're seeing here running in Python. So you're getting the same results regardless of the way that you're invoking it, and so you're able to kind of utilize it in a lot of different ways, whichever way that is best for you. So that's we're in that time machine. We're in 2024. Now, if we use that to come to the future, to come to the current time, you might have asked, like, if you were playing around with Workbench, you're like, okay, that's pretty cool, but can I use that in my VIA Enterprise cluster? And starting in 2025-02, that's when we've released it. So, any modern version of VIA that you have, this year, you'll have these features where now the stuff that you were able to do in Workbench, you're able to do that in your VIA Enterprise as well. So here I jump back. Here I'm back on a VIA cluster. I'm in SAS Studio. And this program, I just did a copy and a paste of that Workbench example. It's that bike sharing company example. And if I run this, you can see this is the exact same code that I was running in Workbench. And the key here for our VIA Analytics example is the ProcReg select that it's running. And the cool thing about that too is, if I scroll down here, the model that it created is identical. So, what you saw in CAS, you saw in Workbench, in SAS, or in Python. Now you're seeing it run from a SAS proc in VIA Enterprise. And you're getting the same results because it's running the exact same code under the covers. Another example of something you can do is running in Python. So I took the example that we had in Workbench for the Python, and I put it here into a SAS Studio Python program. And if we scroll down here, it's using the SAS VIA ML Python packages. And then when this runs, we would see the result that it can produce the same model that we were producing before. I'll also mention, they did show this very briefly in the keynote. There's also additional Python graphing packages that we have. So if I were to scroll up here, the SAS VIA graphics, which allows us to produce some additional graphics libraries. And here, this example, I had printed out some PCA, principal component analysis graphs. But then the important key for this demo is coming down here. We can see that it's producing the same model in this Python in SAS Studio as we were producing in Workbench and VIA Enterprise as well. So, but also additional ways that you can use these VIA Analytics is, here I'll jump over to VS Code. So you may know VS Code. So this is a local VS Code on my laptop. I have the SAS extension installed in it, and I'm connected to my VIA cluster. And with that, I'm able to run, here's that same bike sharing app example from Workbench that we just ran in VIA Enterprise as well. Here I can run in VS Code as well, and with it, I would get the same results, the same model. It's another way that you'd be able to take advantage of the VIA Analytics. Let's see, and then it's almost done there, and it produced the results. And just to prove to you the same results, here's the same graph producing the same results. Another way that you can take advantage of these VIA Analytics is Enterprise Guide. So you can use, as you may know, use Enterprise Guide to connect to a VIA cluster. And so this is a local install of Enterprise Guide. This example is the exact same bike sharing example that I was showing the whole time. And now let's copy and paste it and run it in Enterprise Guide. And just to show it off, it's that reg select running against a local SAS data set local to the compute cluster, and running the proc A store and the plot, and then producing the same results. Okay, so those are a whole bunch of examples of ways of using the VIA Analytics. Whereas before we added these multi-language capabilities, you primarily had to use your CAS server as the platform where the compute ran. Now with the multi-language capabilities, you're able to also still run that in CAS, but also run it in Workbench, in SAS, or Workbench in Python, in a VIA enterprise using SAS or Python, or I was showing here also using VS Code or using Enterprise Guide. So all those different ways that you're able to run those VIA analytics, and since they're all the same, math being done at the, when it comes down to the CPU, you're getting the same results and all the same benefits of that. Okay, so I will jump back to my slides. And okay, so if you're interested in finding out more about what I was talking about, if you're interested in finding more about the SAS VIA Workbench that I was showing there, there's a couple things I'll point out. One is we have a thing called VIA Workbench for Learners. So if you're a student or an educator, for non-commercial use, there's a free VIA Workbench for Learners that you can use, and I have the link there, or also if you just Google VIA Workbench for Learners, you can get that. Otherwise, we do have VIA Workbench, since last year on AWS, and currently we have it in private preview for Azure, so that's ways you can use a SAS VIA Workbench. Or if you want to try it out, it's at the TriZone here in the Innovation Hub. You can play around with Workbench and also other SAS technologies, or you can come see us at the booth. We're right over there. And then additionally, I was showing off those enhancements to VIA Enterprise, showing those. So how you learn more about that, if you have a Cadence 2025-02, so any of this year's cadences pretty much, you have it right now. It's actually in your cluster right now, so you're able to do it. I put a link to the documentation here. It's kind of a long link, but also if you just Google 2025-02, what's new, you can get to that page. Or if you can also come and talk to us at the booth about using those VIA analytics in a VIA Enterprise cluster as well. Okay, so let's see, okay, if there's any questions, we have time for a couple.
In the Visual Studio Code example that you had, was that whenever you were running that code, was that in the CAS? It was running in CAS while you were doing that?
It was running in the VIA Compute, but it wasn't using CAS.
Okay, so it would take advantage, though, of the cluster that you have. It's not running local.
Right,
okay,
yeah, it's not running locally, yeah.
All right. If there are no other questions, we really appreciate you all coming to this session. Thank you so much, David, and have a great rest of your time here at Innovate.